Right, so today I want to cover a topic that is one of my favorite topics, and there's not a lot of focus on this. And having reviewed many thousands of campaigns now, it's the one part that does not get the attention it deserves from marketers, and perhaps it's because it's something that's not so intuitive. It's abstract. So I wanted to go down the rabbit hole and cover that today, which is this area or this idea of manufacturing differentiation. So I'll start off with the story, because when I was in consumer goods business, we did body sprays and deodorants and all that sort of stuff. And I remember um, we we were in the mosquito coil business, or at least that's one of the products we were going to launch, and we couldn't really change the product too much. Where obviously there's specific rules around how much active ingredient you can put in. It's not like I can just double the active ingredient in there, because it's harmful to humans and pets and all kinds of stuff. So there were some strict limitations as to what you can do in terms of changing the product. Now, in markets like supplements and stuff, it's very easy to manufacture differentiation, because you just add in some vitamin that doesn't exist in your competitor, or some new formulation, or some herb or spice that doesn't exist, that hasn't been used in that specific way. So you can really you have a lot of flexibility in manufacturing the differentiation. But how do you do it for something like a life insurance product, right? So how do you do it for something where you're quite limited in how you can change the product? Now, there could be for two reasons. Number one is obviously, as a lead generator, you may not have the luxury of changing products, because obviously they have to go through all kinds of legal compliance and all sorts of financial compliance and all sorts of stuff. You can't just go around changing the product, because it changes the profitability of the product. It changes the compliance level of it and all sorts of stuff. So it's not quite that simple. It's not that easy to change a life insurance product. So the question is, how do you go about that? What are the areas of differentiation? Because this is what really needs to be highlighted or really to be taken care of in the interview process that you would do with your clients. If when you're working in verticals like this, where what's so different about you? So I just finished a very interesting project for a Web3 company. They've gotten money from the who's who in Silicon Valley, so they got a lot of cash to burn. I think they're worth about 800 million or something now. Anyway, so I've known the owner for well over a decade now, and he just reached out of the blue. He said, "Hey, Nick, can you do a campaign for us?" And I can't say that I'm an expert in Web3. I'm a bit of an expert now, but I wasn't a few weeks ago when I started the project. And so I went down the rabbit hole to understand what's different about what you guys are doing to everybody else. And there were a whole lot of technological differences that they had. There were a whole lot of because what they're trying to do is build a community around it and give early access to the community to projects that they vet, because they've got a venture capital arm with it, where they're looking at hundreds of companies every year, and a lot of those companies that are good, they might take them on board at either at the technical level, or however they want to do the deal there. And what they want to do is they figure, well, since we're going to be investing anyway, we can have a community with us that is investing with us, and you're not forced to invest. It's just it's like a kind of like a group of potential investors, and you can pick and choose what you want to invest into. So great idea. Also, it's Web3 is still very new. There's risks and stuff. So how do you differentiate yourself, right? So I went down the rabbit hole to try and find differentiators for them. And similarly, you're going to have a product like this. So Fisher Investments has been doing this for a few years now on LinkedIn. They were running a lot of LinkedIn ads. They finally have transferred the ads over onto into Facebook. And if you have a look, all of their ads are very much info product based, but they have one very specific criteria, which is the 1.5 million or the $750,000. That's one of the two. So either you have 1.5 mil or you have 750. Now, I don't know if that's a split test they're doing just to see if the 1.5 mil is getting them just as many leads or quality of leads as the 750 or not. I'm not too sure. This is 1.5. I've just seen that recently. Traditionally, they've run the 751. which is the one that they ran on LinkedIn for many, many years. But if you have a look, it's kind of like, when to retire, the 5 portfolio tips, like very, very basic stuff. If you look at the ad itself, really not much to it. Let me see if I can bring it up here. No, that's going to the actual. Oh, there you go. Sorry, clicked the wrong link. Okay. If you have a look, really very, very short ads, right? Nothing like a lot of the direct response type ads, but the strategy is different. Obviously, large corporate, and what they're doing is they're actually cycling you through a lot of these investments, and they have that brand aspect to it, which is required because you're trying to build trust here. And they're directly trying to get the customer, right? So this is not a lead generator in the middle that's trying to arbitrage between the price paid to Facebook versus per lead or whatever the compensation is from the person who's buying the leads. This is the product seller themselves are doing the lead gen. So they have a lot more flexibility, plus a very large bank balance, so they can afford to burn cash for some time to learn, right? But nevertheless, I wanted to share with you that the way they're bringing about differentiation here is, firstly, they're identifying people with a certain amount of money, so that's the first differentiator they're bringing in, and ways to learn it's very, very low touch, actually. If you're like, when should you retire, 5 tips to get the portfolio, very, very typical stuff, nothing aggressive, and as a result, they get to run multiple insertions of the same ad, right? So when I saw this, I was like, you know what, it'll be great to do this as a topic. Maybe I'll cover some ways in which how you can differentiate in markets where you can't differentiate, like debt refinancing. I mean, debt refi is debt refi, right? So how do you talk about it in a different way? So the first thing to note is all of these things you're going to see here. No one singular thing allows you to differentiate. It's going to be a combination of stuff that you present, and it's how you construct the combination is what makes the magic, or what makes the whole thing work. So I'll cover that off now, just a few points, and then we can move on to questions. I've got some examples as well to share. There's one right here, which I'll share very shortly. So let me share the slide, not my. Okay. Right. So first one is your emotional and trust-based differentiation, which is what Fisher is trying to do. Now, a lot of the people in a lot of the ads that I've even written in places like life insurance and debt refi, we've gone for the story angle. Sometimes you'll even have the page be from a person rather than a company, and you almost make the person a character as an advocate for the brand. So here's how I was able to help my family. Here's that angle, right? So that's the emotional storytelling side. You also want to bring about transparency, because whenever you're dealing in old products, and I'm calling them old in the sense that life insurance, it's not like anyone hasn't heard of it. There's a lot of preconceived notions about what this is and what this isn't. So sometimes you have to bring that up in the ad itself about why this is not the same as what you've seen in the past, right? And that's oftentimes you almost have to do that, actually, especially in markets where it's not like no one's ever heard of life insurance, and you're often trying to tap into people that either have never bought life insurance, have lapsed as life insurance customers, or are currently paying and recognizing that you need to either change something, or it's too expensive, or whatever. So when you classify markets, really big markets, really you can break them down into those 3 levels. Number 1 is never bought. Number 2 is bought but lapsed. And number 3 is currently a customer. Really, that's it. There's beyond those 3 large segments. That's not to say there aren't any subsegments inside it, but they're the large 3 big groupings that you're going to work with. And so your ad strategies have to work along those lines. So what would be a kind of person who's never bought before, right? Well, someone who just has a kid, right? Because perhaps they were a very high earning couple. There was no need for life insurance. But all of a sudden, they're 32, 35, whatever, they've just had a baby, and all of a sudden now it matters, because what if one of the partner dies and they've got a big mortgage to pay? So life insurance is gonna cover that, right? So it's those inflection moments that needs to be, which is what this cause related stuff is. There is a particular thing that is triggering someone to be in market. And so that's the part that you want to cover off in the emotional type, and you can build a story around that, right? Obviously, testimonial success stories, the family focus one, I just shared that, longevity and stability. This matters. Like, so right now in the housing market, at least here in Australia, New Zealand, I don't know if that's still in the case in the US or not. A lot of construction companies are going out of business because inflation came in, they had fixed price contracts, and all of a sudden materials are costing 30-40% more. Therefore, margins gone, and they're actually collapsing. So a lot of homeowners are being left with half-done houses, and they've paid obviously a significant amount of money. Now, insurance is also hard to get in this case, especially when you want to redo it, and the financial strain that comes as a result of that, right? So sharing this would be that we're a financially stable company. We've got thousands of projects. We've been in the game for X many years. Or perhaps you can have a third-party auditor that reports on the financial condition of the business, so on and so forth. And if that's a major point right now, which it is because the news is covering it, you can highlight that. Imagine a company that constructs your home that is as safe as a bank or something, or but let's say a headline like that. Now, all of a sudden, you're bringing about a point of differentiation that other people may not be able to copy you with, or even if they can copy it, you've got yourself at least a 6-month, 9-month, 1 year maybe advantage over the rest of the market. So the whole point of differentiation is a lot of the time should be spent not necessarily with the client per se, but digging through, saying, well, is this different about you? In what way is this different? Or in what way are the products that you're selling are a little bit different? Have you come across something that or the way that you guys are presenting insurance product is a little bit different to something else that's available out there? And there are also the products that are available in the market where you can highlight bits and pieces. The important thing is not that the product is different, is the fact that something about the product that no one has spoken about, right? And that often can be something that you differentiate on. So an example of that is when I was in the consumer goods business, we launched a deodorant product which had it's a antibacterial component to the whole thing, called triclosan. Now, our competitors were always talking about fragrance and all the other stuff. We spoke about how there's a social stigma of body odor, and we've got this thing that eliminates body odor. So does every other product. But guess what? They didn't say anything about it. We were the first ones in the market to say something about it, right? And so sometimes when you're looking at in markets where products are homogenous and there's very little way to differentiate, you need to look for the thing that no one has spoken about, even though it exists in every other product. So another good example is there was a Schultz, I think it's Schultz, maybe I'm spelling it, pronouncing it incorrectly, beer campaign. I think it was either Ogilvy or one of those guys ran that, where they wrote the ad about how the bottle is cleaned 4 times to give you crisp beer. I think it was a beer product, and so, but it washing of the bottle 4 times was only. Everybody does it. In fact, I think it must have been part of some regulation or a commonly accepted practice where you got to wash the bottle 4 times before you put the beer in it. But nobody else spoke about it. And it took the brand from number 6 to number 2 or number 1 or something, just from highlighting the difference. Because all of a sudden, the customer had something else to tie a differentiator that really made a difference to the marketplace. Right. So oftentimes it's that. In fact, in a lot of mature markets, you only have that option. You don't have a lot of other things to play with. So you want to make sure that you go down the product development side. Now, those of you who are doing Persuasion SOS, we did an entire week or module on the whole thing where we looked at how do you identify all the features and benefits, and then we come up with the advantage of that feature or benefit, and you look at the emotional benefit, you look at the dimensional benefit of the whole thing, and usually we need to construct a table like that. Thankfully, everybody got a prompt that did that automatically, so you don't have to worry about that. All right, so that's something that you want to construct, especially, and the thing is, you can keep using that over and over again whenever you want to come up with something different that you may not have highlighted before. So it keeps your ads, also allows you to keep your ads fresh if you want to make new creatives, right? And there's any speed of resolution type guarantee as well, because in a lot of these markets. So I'm sharing a list here that's highlighted, that's kind of narrowed down. So this is not really for info products or someone doing supplements. This is more for products where there's not a lot to differentiate on, such as mortgage refi, life insurance, health insurance, those sort of things. So a lot of lead hook users are in markets where you as a lead generator don't quite have the option. But what you do have the option of is doing deeper research to identify things that no one's spoken about. All right. Number two, the second part of it is the product or differentiation itself. So there's flexible, coverage type options you might have in insurance type products. Once again, marriage, children, and the transitional points, and perhaps there's automatic price adjustments of sort. So, for example, I'm with the life insurance company here, and because recently I turned 50, so they reached out to me. They're saying, has your life situation changed? Such as, kids have moved out or whatever. So do you want to, discount do you want to change your plan to something more appropriate for your life needs, right? So that was quite proactive. I was surprised, but that's something that they did. And that made me go, okay, cool, at least it's done now. So that would be one way to sort of do that. Bundling, obviously, quite easy. If you buy life insurance, and we can give you the other stuff. This is more on the back end side. I don't think it's going to be that easy to sell on the front end. Having said that, there was one funnel that I worked on some time ago now in the UK, where they came to me looking for they were doing a retirement funnel that wasn't working too well, and I just asked them, so what else do you do? And they mentioned that they were like a full service wealth financial management type of a operation, and they had like all sorts of products from retirement products to life insurance, health insurance, investment management, all sorts of stuff. And I said, oh, I didn't realize you had all these things. So what we did was we created a decision tree around your financial health or something along those lines, where based on how they answered the question, they would get a health score. But guess what? It gave you the data of what else you can sell them. So when the outreach happened, they led with a bundle. They led with here's the complete solution to take your score from 22 to 100. And that ended up being a reasonably successful campaign for them, because it was based around moving your score, which came off all the products and services that they had. So based on your age, they would work out, what should your retirement, what your how close are you to retirement, and how well are you tracking against where you should be currently at your age, plus the home insurance, life insurance, plus your mortgage type products, so on and so forth, including products for the kids, and so on and so forth. So they were able to present a complete bundle solution, which they could offer at a somewhat of a discount, right? Customizable, that usually happens at the higher end of products, or perhaps so let's say, so whenever you travel to the US, there's always an option in life insurance or health insurance products to say, are you going to be traveling to the US? If you say yes, and all of a sudden the price jumped like 5x because of healthcare costs in the US. So that usually is customizable, and if you can offer it as an upfront, then that's great. So that would be an example of that. But usually it's an afterthought. It does not necessarily mean you can bring it up in the ad itself. It's just as an option here. This is an important one, especially for life insurance and health insurance products, which is no medical exam. That one is obviously a big winner because people are a little bit concerned. Let's say someone's a bit a smoker, a little bit overweight, or perhaps they're carrying some existing illness, things of that sort. Obviously, there's only a certain amount of coverage you can get, but it gets the foot in the door, and then the insurance company could then move them to a higher price product or a more suited product, which does require a medical exam subsequently, right? So at least it gets you in. And then or in your debt products, where you would do a debt-free in X years. So refinancing to be debt-free rather than refinancing just for lower rates, right? Which is obviously what everyone talks about. So what else can you say? And so that would be debt-free in X years as another way to start the conversation. But the third one is speed and convenience. So get approved in 24 hours. This is for your loan type products, could be even insurance. The other one is payouts. So, get paid out should there be an accident or should there be whatever event. you're going to get paid out. So you want to look at your fast resolution. If it's just all within an app and things of that sort, you just take some photographs, send it through, and we'll process your claim. And instant quotes is better than non-instant quotes. These days with APIs and all this sort of stuff, you can integrate into any third-party API. There was one that I worked on not so long ago, actually. It's an insurance. I think yeah, it was insurance in the US, where we got the details, and then they would make an API call into an exchange, and they would see whether it's something that they can offer right now to convert, or if the person was ready to convert. If they weren't, if they would convert, then they would take the lead themselves and sell it, and therefore get full commissions. And if they required to be closed with a phone call, which they didn't want to do, they would then sell that lead off, which was a very smart way of maximizing your profits. So if there's any questions on this, please let me know. I'm more than happy to explain this a little bit further. That kind of a technical setup. Right, the brand positioning and niche. Sorry, that one there, the quote one.
Yeah, you said that.
Okay, yeah, all right, okay, cool, yeah, okay. So the setup here is, let's say if you've been able to get yourself an insurance license, either you bought a broke company or you partner with someone or whatever. So therefore, you can actually sell insurance itself, but you don't want to hassle of the phone call or that sort of stuff. You're just looking for that online sale. So what happens is there are, at least in the US, there's exchanges available where you can get live life insurance quotes, provided you're from the industry, so you're certified and all the other stuff. So what happens is when you get the details of the person, smoker, non-smoker, age, yada, 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 you make an API call, it brings back all the different insurance companies that are willing to offer an immediate quote. So let's say, for example, 5 insurance companies have gone back to you. You present all of those 5 as options for someone to pick. And if someone picks one to then close, they would go through the shopping cart experience, and they would close. And because it came from you, there was no sale there was no selling of the lead as such. The lead turned into the sale itself. So you would actually get a higher percentage of commission because you were, in this case, you could say a virtual insurance agent, right? And that's the setup, which is different to you sell the lead and you only get to pay for the lead, and then your customer or the client, I should say, who gets the lead, they will then jump on the call and do whatever they have to do to convert them. So in this case, obviously, they get the commission for selling the lead. So what these guys did was they realized that there's a certain percentage of customers who are looking for just an immediate payout. And this is where it's low value, reasonably high volume. Now, where they came about is because I think it was from one of these calls where they looked at the pivot table type analysis they did, and they realized that a lot of the leads that were going to the client were not a good fit for the client because they're too low value. So the client's like, "Are you selling me crap leads?" So the question they asked was, can this cohort of low value people, are they valuable to somebody else? Okay, is there an automated process to sell this? I think it was a call very similar to what I'm saying now that we covered a few weeks ago. And yes, there was. So they were able to set that up. So whoever was low value, so let's say my income is only 50,000 and I'm looking for life insurance for less than 100,000. Now the client may not be interested in that because they're looking for someone with $500,000 or someone a little bit more high value, because they're going to jump on a phone call, all that sort of stuff. It's not worth it for them to try and sell someone who wants to insure 100 grand. But that doesn't mean that person's not worth anything. It just means that whatever the sale happens to this person, it has to not require human interaction to save money on the sales cost, or the COGS, actually, you could say, of the sale. So then what would happen is they would go through an automated process. So there's a click the link, and basically you confirm your details, you put in details, and so on and so forth, and it converts. So I believe there was some phone call thing happening after they signed up and all that sort of stuff. But generally speaking, a lot of the sale part was removed from the interaction. Does that make sense? Josh?
That makes sense.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So what it does, it allowed them to keep bidding on traffic that the client would find unqualified, but they could still monetize, which means that they could continue to run very broad campaigns, because the 20, 30, 40, or whatever X percentage of the traffic that was coming through that was not suitable for the client's business, doesn't mean that they were not suitable for somebody else, and there wasn't some other way to monetize that. And as long as you think in those terms, you can actually end up driving traffic in ways that actually economically makes sense for you, even if it's got a lot of leads that are not for your client itself. And that would be one way to do it. All right. Okay, next comes branding and niche focus. So this one here, I wanted to cover off with an example, which is this one right here. Okay, so I couldn't find the one that I was looking for, but essentially it's a life insurance company or health insurance company in the US. There was a Forbes article written about them. They were valued about $400 million. They were using quizzes to identify if the person exercised a lot, either cycling or running or whatever the heck it was. And as a result, they were able to price the insurance better than every other insurance company. So let's say if you have an insurance company that does not consider how fit you are as a variable, so they're going to sell you, let's say, for example, a policy, all things being equal, let's say $1,000 a year. Well, if you are fit, then your chance of having diabetes or whatever the various health issues would be lower by, let's say, 20%. So or whatever the number was. So they were able to beat everybody in the market because they grabbed one extra data point about the customer. So they were, rather than selling the insurance policy for $1,000, they sold them for, let's say, $900, $800. So the person who was fit anyway, as a result, I mean, they weren't getting fit to get cheap life insurance, but because they were fitter than the rest of the population, or they were exercising more often, or whatever it was, this segment could be sold cheaper insurance, and you could still make it very profitable because the probability of having those health issues or dying early or whatever it was a lot less. And so they were able to find a gap in the market. So they ran ads for like cycling, for running, or basketball and football and all kinds of stuff. And they actually built I believe it was valued about $400 million within 12 to 18 months of running that campaign. And I think some insurance company probably bought them out. But that's how they launched. They essentially did it by asking for that extra data point to then justify a better pricing of the product, which is a very, very smart way of doing it, because it takes a while for that kind of infrastructure to be built. Or at least I would guess that it would take a while to build that infrastructure. And so therefore they were able to beat everybody on price, which is extremely difficult in markets like insurance. But they were able to find a way in which they could offer a better price product. All right. Okay, so obviously you've got different demographics, and niche products and things of that sort. So I won't cover too much of that. That's kind of obvious. All right, next comes this part here, which is usually what we refer to as a lot of the direct response guys in the offer side of things do get this. So obviously your money back guarantee type of thing within a certain period, your rate lock, any claim payouts. So if you don't get paid out within 7 days, then you get an extra whatever, $50, $100, whatever it is, and some sort of a trial period where you have cooling off period if they change their mind. So that usually is mandated by most consumer law. Once again, the point here being that a lot of these things may exist in every product that's out there, but it is not being shared with the consumer. So it's a feature that has never been shown as a benefit, and every other product has it. So once again, you would take this in this case and dig it up and highlight that as why. So let's say, for example, if you were to play with this one here, this is great. Like, let's say you have 4 days to change your mind. So don't delay, protect your family right now. And in 4 days, if you change your mind, no questions asked, get your money back or get out of the contract or whatever the heck it is. Right? Can you imagine that if that was being used? Because now you're just delaying. You're effectively giving them an out. But once they've taken the step to do it, they may not change their mind. Or what you're looking for here is that the percentage bump you get of the people to sign up, minus the people who jump off, is higher. So you have a net gain, versus outright trying to convince people to sign up without their changing your mind type stuff. right? So anyway, I think that kind of covers the today's session in terms of the elements to highlight, especially in markets where there's not a lot much to highlight on. And just to summarize, the most important part here is that you do your research to identify every bit that there is. For those who did Persuasion SOS, there was a prompt that I shared where you could just upload your brochure and it picks out every feature that there was. I did that for the crypto community, and it uncovered 36 different features, which even the client themselves didn't realize so many features existed in their product. So that's the real power of using AI in market research. So anyway, so that just leaving it there. So these days, you don't have to go and work these things out. You can just take the product brochure or the client's website or whatever, copy and paste the text out of it, shove it into something like a ChatGPT, and get it to work out what the features are. And then you can compare that against, which competitor is talking about it, which competitor is not talking about it, what can you highlight, what are its dimensional benefits, what are its emotional benefits, and you can construct and add series around things that nobody else is talking about, which is the whole point of differentiation. Now, one final point of differentiation, you always got to make sure that you're not differentiating just for the sake of differentiating. You're differentiating because it's a relevant differentiation, i.e., it's something that the marketplace is likely to value, right? And so you can't just differentiate on anything that no one perceives to be important. So just that, I mean, that's kind of obvious, but just make sure that we're not doing differentiation just for differentiation's sake here. We're doing it because we're trying to identify different conversations or new conversations that the market hasn't seen before, right? Because if you're looking for a universal filter of what always resonates with people, it's some new thing that they've never heard of. That's the whole point. It's Agora is really good at that. They created a whole concept called neologizing, where you hide the main point that you're trying to make, or something boring, and you cloak it around something that looks exciting. So I'll finish off with an example. I think it was Canadian Dividend Stocks was one of the newsletters, and they positioned it as Canadian Social Security finally available in America, right? Which is obviously a lot more interesting and exciting, i.e., am I getting free money from the Canadian government as an American? Which you weren't. You were just buying, dividend stocks. But if they just said, "Hey, how to get dividend stocks? How to get it back?" It's not going to resonate, because it's like, I've heard it before. Dividend, boring, whatever. But if you say Canadian Social Security finally available in America, all of a sudden you've got yourself a new angle to play with. Now, just want to talk about the differentiation itself. Does not mean it could be the basis upon which you put a hook, and we'll cover hooks next week, where I show how you can take differentiation and convert that into a hook. I see some questions. Let me bring that up. Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, Sahar, it was covered in the Persuasion SOS course. Yeah, it's not available anymore. I only shared it in the course. Um, and the course attendees, of which I think there's one of them on the call here, or two of them, I should say. They made a big point about never sharing it ever again with anybody. So at the moment, the products of the market, but elements of that are being added into LeadsHook, and you should see that in the next couple of weeks. So unfortunately, that prompt itself is not available, but I've shared kind of the strategy that we used. Yeah, cool, awesome. Yeah, now this is a particularly important session in that really identifying how you can start a new conversation with the market is the basis of all marketing. Like that's it. If you get the one thing right, is how can I talk about the same old boring stuff that in a way that the market's never heard of, right? And that essentially is what gets the click. And that's what all the work is all about. It's about how do I spin this as something that they've never heard before. That's the Uber principle here that we're trying to practice. Yeah, thanks, Josh. So there's Josh and then there's Jay. Yeah, all right. Okay, guys, thanks. All right, so that's kind of covers today's session. If there's any, I don't want to have a feature highlight. There's a whole thing coming next week. I'm going to probably spend a good half an hour on it. There's some new stuff that we've just added into LeadSoap, so I'll cover those next week. I need a bit more time for that. Otherwise, we're off to any bottleneck Q&A. So anything that you guys are working on that you've struggling with, or perhaps not understanding, could be leads related, could be lead gen related, could be marketing related, could be whatever. So yeah, anything and everything is kind of on the table here. More than happy to answer any questions. Even if you're not a LeadSoap user, I'll answer the questions for
I've got
you as
Questions.
real simple one for you, Nick.
yeah, sure.
Theo's working on a landing page at the moment.
Yep.
We want to position the container that is the chat prompt
Yep.
anywhere on the screen, and we're using GHL, which is limited to the bottom right hand corner. They've actually just opened it up to top left, top right, but we want to be able to position it as in the same way that we can move the lead hook container, right? I think it's going to be a CSS thing, but just quickly tap into your experience and knowledge to give me some insight on that, if you could.
Sure. So
Is it a
this is
Fiverr
referring to
job?
the
Is it a
to the
freelance job? Is it a simple one?
yeah. So let me just understand the problem first. So you're talking about the Google Tag Manager container, right? Here.
No, the
Sorry.
chat window, which
Oh.
is a widget, right?
Yep. Okay. Okay.
If it's not a
So
container, what would you call that? What would the terminology?
yeah. That's correct. Yeah, it's a container. So and you're trying to put the LeadSoap decision tree inside the container, or you've got GHL's own container.
It's GHL's own container.
And what are you putting in it? A GHL bot, or are you putting in the LeadSoap?
Our own bot.
Okay, cool. Okay, got it. Okay. All right. So that's not really
Maybe the reason why, just to give it context, is we want to
Yep.
position it so it's appropriate for a landing page rather than what GHL think is appropriate as a pop-up.
Okay, cool. All right. So let me just get that right here. I'm going to click one of these ads here so we can get some context.
The ChatGPT sandbox, for example, does a really good job of it. It sits at the bottom of the page and, you know, is good as a demo, as an interaction for a user.
Okay, so you're referring to those sort of things that pop on the bottom right here?
Yeah, we want to put it at the bottom of a page, centralized.
Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I think you should be able to. So it's not about the bot per se, it's about the position of the bot. So usually in GHL or any other third-party app. So if we say, for example, it's like that, and let's say if you want to move that in the middle here, it would be just a setting of that container itself to move it to the middle. So
Natively, DHL don't offer that, but they do obviously offer CSS, and I would imagine it's beyond me.
Cool. Okay. No, it won't be CSS. It'll be like an HTML block that you have to put onto it. Yeah, so it'll be like a coding block, not necessarily CSS one. CSS would change the design. You're looking for, if there's any GHL experts on the call, please do share I'm not a big GHL expert by any means. I mean, I've played with the backend automations in some client projects, but as far as the landing page builder is concerned, I don't know much about it. But usually for those sort of things, you would bring about a code element, or could be an HTML element. Josh, what do you call that in Unbound language? Same, right? Yeah. Okay. Like it's like a code or HTML element. So that's what you're looking for. I'm assuming GHL has that. So GHL. Let me just quickly do a search here.
Something like that.
Landing page HTML code element. Let's see what pops up. There you go. Raw HTML code. What's this? I don't like the look of this. It says under review. Oh God. Okay. Maybe they don't have it. I don't know. Sorry. Yeah, that person does have a question for what you have.
Block editors, whatever that is. I'm looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. You know, I'll ask Jay of someone that I know that knows GHL much better and get back to you on this one.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'll send you message with the link.
Fine, perfect. Okay, done. Thank you. Thank you.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Thank you very much,
it.
Nick.
No worries. No, sorry, I wasn't able to help much here. No, not my area of expertise. At least GHL isn't.
No worries. Great content again today. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. All right, guys. Any other questions? Oh, we've got some new people here. There's Fabry. Nice
Hi.
to have you on the call. Hi. Do you have any questions for me?
Not at the moment, but since this is recorded, right? I would like to
It
go
is.
through it one more time because I'm not really familiar with this as much as other participant, but I would love to learn more about this. At
Okay.
the
All
moment,
right.
we
Okay.
have
Cool. Well, then just go to YouTube, and we've got a whole channel here.
yes, yeah,
And so yeah, so that's where it's going to end up. So there you go. There's all the calls right there. I'm going to
yeah.
share it in the chat here. So just grab it. But that's basically it's youtube.com/ slash at lead hook. So that's where the call will end up by Thursday of this week. Cool. Awesome. All right. Any other questions? Thanks, Josh, for the link.
All good.
New block editor. Okay, cool.
Yeah, if you
So,
can keep
Josh, are you
everything-
using GHL too?
Hmm?
Are you using
No, we're
GHL?
not. It's just the same
Okay.
as everything else. So
Okay, all right. Cool. Oh, well, the lead hook one is coming out very soon. So
amazing.
hopefully it's to end all other page builders.
Is there any? Do you know if that the lead ID thing's verified yet? Is that
The lead ID
What?
things. Yeah,
past
no,
lead
so
ID?
yeah, no, actually that's the content I'm creating for next week. So yeah, I've been busy building my my AI machine this whole week. So sorry, I haven't gotten to that, but that's been on my to-do list.
I remember you mentioned the team had taken it live, but you weren't.
Yeah.
entirely
No,
sure.
it's already been sorry, it's already in production. I just haven't got the training for it done yet. So yeah, just yeah. In fact, that's my to-do list after the call to
Definitely
work
working or still potentially buggy?
Yeah, no. It's fully working. We've got an automated test running on it. So yeah, I think it's fully working. I just need to work out what the exceptions are and get some training done on it.
Cool. I might start to test using it then.
Yeah. So just give me I don't know, an hour or two. I should have the content up.
And the other one was that meta stuff because the lead hooks GTM isn't sending through the correct.
Yeah. I have a hard time believing that one, but once again, that I've copied and pasted it to one of the team members to see if they can break down what the problem is. If that's the case, then we'll make the edits on our side. But I have
No,
a
it's
meeting.
just what you're using is different to what Facebook Meta has on their documentation.
This is talking about the
Parameters. So your parameters are different to what they
yeah.
use.
Okay, you can adjust those if you want, but when we added those in, that is correct. That is correct. We are sending a few more params than they have, but Facebook takes it. So unless that's changed, in fact,
you're sending like something one for
Yeah.
word. They're sending it as two different words and a different type of word.
Okay, maybe that's changed. Okay, you know what? I'll go through it. I'll go through it this afternoon. Sorry, I'll go through it first thing tomorrow morning and make sure that if there's any misalignment there, that to get it fixed up. But as an immediate fix, what you can do. So let me see if I can bring it up here. Google Tag Manager.
I think we can update it, but I thought you might need to update your
Yeah. No, thanks for that. All right, let me quickly bring this up. Stop sharing for a sec while I quickly bring up.
Yeah, content category is the one that was incorrect or different on yours to what they've got.
Got it. Let me just.
You got as one word. They've got as two words with underscore.
All right, let me bring this up. V2. All right, share screen. Okay, so just for anyone on the call, if you want to ever know how to do GTM, so let's say, for example, it's the view event for Google Tag Manager. It is correct that we are sending quite a few more than the Facebook's official view content. That is correct, and we're aware of it. I've got a to-do list. I've got an item pending for them to just basically synchronize it so it doesn't cause confusion like the way that it's caused you. So what you can do is we'll just go Facebook, view content, params.
Yeah, they've got two links and both of them have different bits of information on it.
Let's go have a look at
You've got Meta
Alright,
Pixel
so
dash advanced.
view. Okay.
There's reference and advanced.
Okay, let's have a look. View. Nope. That might be the right one.
Same as
Okay,
this one, but
So for
exactly
view,
this one, except the URL should also be
okay, yeah. So these are options. Okay, so what we should be sending is content IDs, right? So I'm just gonna there you go. I'm just gonna take a screenshot so we can do a quick comparison. This is GTM hacking, and I'm gonna grab the one that we have. All right, which is this right here. So copy and paste. Grab that, copy and put it next to it so it makes it easy to see. Okay, cool. So we've got content IDs, we've got content type, we've got contents, which we don't have. Contents is what we don't have. Okay, cool. So that should definitely be fixed. Currency we don't have, value we don't have, and content IDs. Yeah, so basically it's these four. So it's the contents that we don't have. So, and then there's a few extra ones here that we should probably remove. So that update, I actually did add that into our dev queue. So that should get fixed very soon. Yep. Cool. Good pickup and correct. All right. Any other questions on this?
Yeah, content
So-
category. They do have a content category in there, but it's just yours is different as well. So do we not need content category at all then?
No, you don't. You don't need it. But what we'll do is we'll add it in here. So that way you can, because I believe contents is an array. So let me just, that's okay. You know what? I'll get the whole thing fixed. So that way you don't have to bother even any of this and just upload the new container and get that sorted out. The reason why we've held it off is because I wanted to add in Google Ads and also as in a server-side Google Ads and add in LinkedIn and the few other ad networks, including like Pinterest and Taboola and Outbrain, and have essentially, so when you log into LeadSook itself, let's see if I go here and you go into the actual, oops, let's quickly. If I go into here to GTM, you have all the ad networks available here. So you can just tick the one that you want and basically just, yeah. So increase it to about 8 to 10 different ad networks. So less manual hacking of GTM itself. And there's another update, which is where we're automatically adding in server side. So that's actually actively getting worked on right now. So one less thing to worry about. Because the point is, what we're trying to do is get to the stage where all you got to do is just have like a builder type of an experience where you just add in whatever you want. It automatically builds you the landing page, already does the tracking, the server side, client side, including decision tree in the landing page and the thank you page, all done in a few minutes or a minute or two. Right. So we're not too far off that, but that's essentially what the goal is. Cool.
Awesome, Nick.
Yeah.
The lead bot and other stuff you said.
Yeah. So that because so we're still working on that. There's quite a few updates coming through. We're trying to make sure we pace them out and not break stuff. So well, it won't break stuff, but communicating a lot of changes to users is actually a difficult thing. So that's why we've staged it a bit. So, but I should get an update by this week where we are on that. Yeah. So the question was, do we add it in now or do we add it in the new builder that we've got? So that's the
I remember you saying there's some issue with like systems being able to send pages of data.
Yeah. No. So the issue is that whenever you make an API call to a third party, it'll send back a bunch of stuff. And now most APIs are well designed and they'll send back only what you request. But there are APIs that are chatty as hell. They'll send you like pages and pages of garbage. And so what ends up happening is that if we aren't careful, we could invariably open up something that saves all of that content inside LeadSource itself, which the user doesn't want to use, but it just needlessly clogs up performance. So that's the bottleneck. Not quite the bottleneck. That's the how do you resolve that while giving flexibility to something like a lead byte, but not open it up so much that all of a sudden, you know, the crappy APIs out there just send tons of data, and we'll end up having to save it all, and which for no purpose because no one's going to use it. So which is a performance problem, and obviously that costs money at scale, which is thousands of decision trees with millions of leads a month. It adds up. So that's the bottleneck. So the solution is we make a special lead byte sort of, we open up the gates for lead byte only. That's one way. But the thing is, what if people that are not using lead byte and they're using something else and they'd like the same functionality? How do you accommodate for that? So anyway, that's what the team is debating right now. So hopefully we'll solve it soon.
Fingers crossed. It's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions on this stuff? All right. Well, guys, if there's no other questions, same time, same place. Next week, we'll look at hooks or something. Yeah, let's look at hooks next week. How do you come up with ideas for hooks and stuff? Unless something pops up in the midweek that requires my attention.
Have you seen anything interesting on the creative side for AI?
On the what side again?
Creative side, so ad creation, video creation stuff.
Yeah, the old prompts are still working. If you have them,
Yep.
yeah, they're still working quite well actually.
More around actually the design and video kind of stuff. I know.
Oh yes, yeah. I in the Persuasion group, I added about 4 different providers of video AI. Yeah. So just follow up on those. But I'm going to be sharing something very soon on the 3-4 tools that I'm actually using.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, guys. Have a lovely week. And yep, stay safe, stay profitable. See you next week. See you guys. Bye.